Oh, hello and welcome to Beyond Geek, Kinetic Sculpture Racing. It's a brand new special for all of us PBS nerds out there. Hi, I'm Heath Buckmaster. We are pleased to be joined in the studio by the host of the show, Dan Reynoso.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming.
It's great to be representing Beyond Geek back at KVIE, where I embraced my inner geek as a child with a, electric company.
Oh, yes.
Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and all of that. So I'm really geeking out right now just being here.
Well, good. We're going to keep that energy going tonight, and we're going to be talking quite a bit more with Dan as well. You've seen a wonderful, energetic beginning to this program as we explore the creation of these amazing vehicles, each with a really fun artistic twist. Well, we're going to be spending more time talking with Dan about the origins of the Kinetic Sculpture Race, but first we'd like to hear from you when you make a contribution to your local PBS station, KVIE. It's your support that helps make science and arts programs like this one available to everyone in this community. So please take a minute now, go to our secure website, kvie.org, or give us a call at the number on your screen. And when you do, we have some great thank you gifts, including the brand new PBS Nerd shirt, plus Beyond Geek DVDs. Take a look. Join us as we boldly go where no art has gone before, racing against all odds in a human-powered art race, the Kinetic Grand Championship. You can embrace your PBS nerd today when you make a donation to KVIE as an ongoing monthly sustainer. As a $5 sustainer, we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Envy Green t-shirt in the size of your choice. This fun interpretation on the PBS logo will let you show your nerd pride for all the shows you love on public television. Or choose the DVD set Beyond Geek Season 1 plus Kinetic Sculpture Racing. Also available as a $5 sustaining donor. Upgrade to the $8 sustaining level and we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Gray hoodie in the size of your choice. It's a stylish way to show your support for the station that brings you and your family lifelong learning. Support science and exploration programming on KVIE today by calling 1-800-270-6601 or donate online at kvie.org, and thanks. We are here with Dan Reynoso. He's the host of Beyond Geek Kinetic Sculpture Racing. I'm so glad you're here. How did you get involved in this Beyond Geek series, and especially with the Kinetic Sculpture Racing?
I have no idea. I just want no.
Are you an artist or an engineer?
No, it's a long story. So I'm glad we've got some time here. Years and years ago, the show's producer Joe Gillis had filmed a couple of music videos for a band I was in. Am in still, in this punk rock band called the Knockoffs, and Joe had filmed some videos for us. Fast forward about 10 years or so, I get a phone call from Joe, and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing this TV show," and he's describing. He's like, "Hey, would you ever think about being the host for it?" And I'm just thinking, "Yeah, sure, whatever, Joe. Talk to you later. Take care." I didn't think twice about it, just like I had no idea if this is going to happen. I get a phone call a couple weeks later. "Okay, we've got a flight booked for you. We're going to go here. I'm going to be sending over a script. I want you to read up on." And next thing you know, I'm traveling all over, meeting the most interesting people, getting involved in the most interesting things, and just seeing all of the beautiful geek world that's out there, whether it has to do with science, whether it has to do with sport, whether it has to do with music or art, and it's just been a wonderful experience, and that connection with people has been my favorite thing.
Well, and that's the nice thing about this series is that it really celebrates geek culture, and that's something we're going to be spending more time talking about tonight. We're going to spend more time with Dan and definitely talking about why being a nerd and being a geek is really cool, but now it's your opportunity to support this kind of science and arts programming on KVIE. So we're going to check in with my co-host, Kelly Rains. She's got information about how you can make your contribution right now. Thanks, Kelly. So geek and nerd culture is kind of seeing a resurgence.
Yeah.
And Beyond Geek, I think, is a great way to celebrate that. It's similar to a lot of PBS programming. It really appeals to science nerds and nature nerds and maybe kids who aren't sports figures but are learning that it's okay to be a geek.
Yeah, and it's something that I related to. You know, when I was a kid, I was into professional wrestling and Star Wars, and so and I was called a geek because of it, and not in an endearing way. In high school, I wasn't good at any sports, but I got into theater, and so I was called a drama nerd by a lot of people, and once again, not in an endearing way. And what's great about Beyond Geek is it doesn't exploit the world of being a geek, a nerd, just
it's
like,
respectful.
oh, let's put the white tape on the glasses.
Right.
Oh, look, I'm a nerd. No, it's not that. It's empowering. It's bringing power to that word. I'm proud to be a geek about something, whether it's the fact that I donate so much of my time and energy and money to create these sculptures and to put my body through an incredible amount of pain over the course of this weekend for this race, or whether I'm going to take all of these old computer parts and I'm going to make music with them. I'm going to create art with it, or I'm going to spend all my time, putting together an authentic World War II outfit, and I'm going to reenact battles. It's these people who dive headfirst into something. And it's not necessarily mainstream, but they put all of their heart into it.
So you mentioned art, and art is such a critical part of this particular event. And that brings in an entirely different culture to this. It's not just the technology of building this vehicle, but they're made into these beautiful artistic creations.
Absolutely, and as an educator, I really enjoy when you can cross different subjects, when you can mix science and math and art and history, and that's exactly what each of the episodes of Beyond Geek really do. And especially with the Kinetic Sculpture Race, you've got science, you've got art, you've got math. And you also have history, which is great about this episode, is they really go into the history of the race, and we talked to the founder's son, and it's this beautiful story of the relationship between the father and the son and how they're carrying on this race.
Well, it's going to be an exciting evening. You are in for a lot more as we move into the actual day 1, 2, and 3 of the race. So coming up in the next part of Beyond Geek, Kinetic Sculpture Racing, we are off to day 1 of the race, and we are going to find out whether the Enterprise can make it through the sand dune, or if the hot Roddenberries are really going to lose to win. This program is here because of your generous financial support, so thank you. If you haven't made your contribution yet in support of science and arts programming on KVIE, now is the time to do it by calling the number on your screen or donating online, and thanks. I kind of feel bad clapping. That final shot was so sad. The vehicle just in the dunes as we move away.
I thought that was the end for us. I really did think that was the end for our team.
It's a really poignant moment, and we're going to find out what happens next, so don't fear. I'm Heath Buckmaster. I'm here with Dan Reynoso from Beyond Geek, Kinetic Sculpture Racing. We're so glad you're with us today.
I'm glad to be here.
And we're going to be spending quite a bit more time talking with Dan about this program, about nerd culture, as well as the wonderful PBS Nerd t-shirt and sweatshirt that you can get tonight. We're both sporting them right here. Dan did a quick costume change during the break. But right now, we're asking you to make an important contribution to your local PBS station, that's KVIE. It's your financial support that makes a difference for the programs that you and your family watch. So please take a moment right now, go online to our secure website, kvie.org, or give us a call at the number on the screen, 1-800-270-6601. And when you do, we will thank you with some wonderful program-inspired gifts, including the PBS Nerd t-shirt and sweatshirt and the Beyond Geek Season 1 DVD set. Take a look.
Join us as we boldly go where no art has gone before, racing against all odds in a human-powered art race, the Kinetic Grand Championship. You can embrace your PBS nerd today when you make a donation to KVIE as an ongoing monthly sustainer. As a $5 sustainer, we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Envy Green t-shirt in the size of your choice. This fun interpretation on the PBS logo will let you show your nerd pride for all the shows you love on public television. Or choose the DVD set Beyond Geek Season 1 plus Kinetic Sculpture Racing. Also available as a $5 sustaining donor. Upgrade to the $8 sustaining level and we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Gray hoodie in the size of your choice. It's a stylish way to show your support for the station that brings you and your family lifelong learning. Support science and exploration programming on KVIE today by calling 1-800-270-6601 or donate online at kvie.org. And thanks.
Welcome back. We're here with Dan Reynoso. He's the host of Beyond Geek, Kinetic Sculpture Racing. This event takes a lot of physical skill.
Absolutely.
But it really requires a mental perspective of positivity throughout a lot of adversity.
Yeah, and you saw when we didn't necessarily make it through Dead Man's Drop in one piece, that's definitely a time when you would just
You'd throw your hands up and go.
Yeah, throw your hands up. I tried, and I gave it my best shot. But the thing that really caught me was everyone's positive attitude. I felt like I was the one who took it the hardest. But everyone's like, well, I guess I'm going back to the Scott, the head of our team, is like, I guess I'm going back to the shop, and he, went back and worked on it, and then you'll see if we can get it out of there or not. But I think that kind of pays tribute to being a geek or being a nerd, and that's that. Quite frankly, you get dumped on. People put you down for what you're into. They put you down for the things that you love and the things that you pursue, and you just put a smile on your face and power through that. And I think that's what, after, because I've watched the episode a few times, and that was a message that really came through to me.
Absolutely.
It was this really empowering message that, this happens in life.
Right.
You don't necessarily have to go down an incline of sand into a bunch of trees to realize this, but when you're a geek and you're a nerd, you get dumped on and you wreck.
Right.
And the best thing you can do is put a smile on your face, go back to the shop, stay up until 3 a.m,
Fix
rebuild,
it and move on.
Yeah.
It's very exciting to watch, and it's very exciting to see the positivity that everybody really brings to it. Well, we're going to spend more time with Dan in just a moment, but now here's my co-host, Kelly Rains, with more details about the importance of your support. Kelly, so many great ways that you can support KVIE and pick up one of those PBS Nerd t-shirts. There is a lot of community support around the Kinetic Grand Championship, not only from the beginning of the race, but through to the end, which we'll see in a little bit. The community really gets behind this and supports it. What was that like?
It's a perfect fit because like public television, it doesn't just depend on the community; it thrives through the community. And it was a wonderful experience, not only just at the opening ceremony with everyone there in the town square, but as we're going through neighborhoods and people are having barbecues. It's just like a parade coming through. That the community really embraces this. They're not just thinking, oh, here come all these people riding through our neighborhoods, and no, they embrace it, and we're waving to people, and it was a great experience to see the community come out like that.
Well, and we saw you on roads and highways, and cars are behind you, and they're not honking. They're not upset.
No, and that was when I found out we were going on the freeway. I'm like, I know how I would act if I was on the freeway and I saw someone pedaling one of these down, clogging up the road. But no, everyone's just people are honking, but they're doing it to wave.
Yeah.
It's a pleasant honk.
There's a lot of support.
Yeah, it was a great time.
That's what we're looking for from you, is your opportunity to support the station that you turn to for this type of great science and arts programming. And that's something really special about public television, is because we're community supported. This event is community supported. We really couldn't do it without you. There is a kids portion that happens before the main event.
Yeah.
It's a great way for kids to not only be inspired, but they actually get to build some art themselves.
They do. They get into it. There's one of the members of the Hot Roddenberries, Jimmy and I. We were the pilots on the portion that had to go down a river. And as we're sitting there, we're having this conversation, and he's talking about the kids that are watching us. And he was telling me how he used to be one of those kids, and he'd say, hey, one of these days I'm going to do this race. Yeah. And then he looks back and he's watching that, knowing that he's playing that part to those kids.
Absolutely.
Up there, and this beautiful circle of community, of these kids getting involved and the community getting involved with it, and then just passing the torch on to the next generation. And so it's a whole lot more than just a bunch of people putting things together and riding through the sand and dirt. It really takes on a life of its own in terms of how it brings the community together.
Well, we're going to be spending more time talking with Dan, and we're going to be learning about whether the hot Roddenberries actually make it. Now, let's move on to the next part of the program. You made it!
We made it. We made it.
You made it. The hot Roddenberries finally made it across the finish line. Hi, I'm Heath Buckmaster. I'm here with the host of the show, Dan Reynoso. Thank you so much for bringing this show to KVIE.
Oh, it's a blast. And like I said, it feels like a homecoming coming back to KVIE, where quite honestly, when I was 5 and 6 years old, this is where I embraced my inner geek and my inner nerd with Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, the Electric Company, and Zoom, and Sesame Street, and then later on with Masterpiece Mystery.
PBS is where nerds get their start.
It is, and
Really
I felt happy to embrace that.
Well, we are glad you're back. Dan will be back with us in just a moment to share more about this fun program, but now it is your opportunity to be a PBS nerd for your local station, KVIE. Your generous contribution helps us bring you a multitude of science and arts programs every year. So please take a minute right now to go online to our secure website, kvie.org, or give us a call at the number on your screen. We welcome your support in any amount, but you may want to contribute at one of the suggested giving levels so you can receive one of these great program-inspired gifts, including the PBS Nerd shirt and the Beyond Geek DVDs. Take a look, and thanks.
Join us as we boldly go where no art has gone before, racing against all odds in a human-powered art race, the Kinetic Grand Championship. You can embrace your PBS nerd today when you make a donation to KVIE as an ongoing monthly sustainer. As a $5 sustainer, we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Envy Green t-shirt in the size of your choice. This fun interpretation on the PBS logo will let you show your nerd pride for all the shows you love on public television. Or choose the DVD set Beyond Geek Season 1 plus Kinetic Sculpture Racing. Also available as a $5 sustaining donor. Upgrade to the $8 sustaining level and we'll thank you with the PBS Nerd Gray hoodie in the size of your choice. It's a stylish way to show your support for the station that brings you and your family lifelong learning. Support science and exploration programming on KVIE today by calling 1-800-270-6601 or donate online at kvie.org, and thanks.
We're back with Dan Reynoso from Beyond Geek. So when we started this break, you were mentioning, you grew up on public television with shows like Mystery and Mr. Rogers and Electric Company, which are great ways for kids to start exploring science and kind of their nerd side. Mm-hmm. Is there a geek stereotype that is evolving now? You're a teacher. Do you see this in your students?
I think, unfortunately, there still is that negative connotation to geek and nerd, and I don't think it's as evident now. I think kids are exposed to more now, and so I think they're a little more open to things that are different from them than they were in my generation, in my opinion. And we're not talking about a geek Hollywood, a nerd Halloween costume, or look, I'm wearing the pocket protector and the glasses and the pants yanked up to here. No, it's about more than that. It's about being into something that isn't necessarily mainstream, but you still put all of your heart into it. You put all of your spirit into it, and you pursue it, and you love it. And that can be about anything. In the series, we talked about these people up in Humboldt County who create these kinetic sculptures, and they're so into it. And not everyone understands it, but you can definitely appreciate it. And that every episode of the series, really, you hit different facets of different areas of geek culture.
Yeah, and the nice thing is that in this case, the community is really getting behind that culture and really supporting it. Supporting science and the arts on public television, it's quick and easy. It takes just a few minutes of your time right now. Here's Kelly Raines with important information about why your giving to your local PBS station is so important. We're back with one of the hot Roddenberries, Mr. Dan Reynoso. Everybody's kind of a nerd for something. On PBS, you might be a nerd for Nova or Nature or Antiques Roadshow, or a show that just really gets you jazzed. You participated in this event, which is this wonderful blend of arts and science and technology. how did you embrace that nerd culture? Was that something that you were already into, or was this new for you?
I think the fact that there were things in my life that I was geeky about, like I said earlier, you know, when I was a kid, into professional wrestling, and that love of professional wrestling continued into high school when it wasn't really such a cool thing to be into professional wrestling, and you'd find those one or two friends that were also in it. You like that? I do too. Which one is your favorite? And you know, you form like almost this little secret society. Yeah, and it was a great feeling to have that support group of someone who's into something that not everyone else gets, and so I think that helped me really appreciate it. But it was on such a grand scale when you see that entire community come out on the opening ceremonies in the town square, and I'm just thinking, okay, well, everyone's just gathered here. But no, that continued on throughout the race, and when we stopped to have lunch, and the supermarket provided food for all of the racers and the communities out there, and then the closing ceremonies where it's just basically a block party. All of the restaurants, all of the bars are packed with people. And it really is one of the things that I don't know if physically I can handle another race, but it'd definitely be a blast to go and be there for the opening ceremony, be there for the closing ceremony, and just to experience that culture and that community coming together.
Well, and even if you're not part of the race, being there as one of the community members who's supporting everybody. If you do that, make sure you wear your PBS Nerd shirt, which you can get when you give us a call at 1-800-270-6601 or donate online at kvie.org/support. You can pick up, in the size of your choice, one of the brand new PBS Nerd t-shirts. It's a great riff on that wonderful PBS brand that you know and love from your childhood, now in kind of a really cool, nerdy, geeky fashion, and we really like that about it. It's great that you brought this show to public television, because I think it's a natural home for certainly science exploration type of programming. And as you said, it really is teaching kids nowadays that being a nerd, being a geek is okay, and being yourself is okay. And you don't have to be a sports player. You don't have to be the star of the show. You just like what you like.
And it's perfectly okay to be into athletics and then find all these other things that you're into as well. You know, so there could be that star quarterback and that head cheerleader. You know, we don't want to demonize them. They could also be into kinetic sculpture.
Right.
They can also be into World War II reenactments, and so it's like to broaden their horizons even. And I think that's when they start accepting everything around them.
So in our last moments, what's your takeaway as a hot Roddenberry?
Every time I watch that episode, quite honestly, I miss the people. I really miss hanging out with Scott. He was such a blast to hang out with. Everyone on the team. Of course, you know, we didn't document the partying, you know, at the camping, but there was so much fun, and they're genuine people. No one was putting on an act when the cameras were rolling.
Just like public television.
It was so much fun. I think that's the thing that I take away the most from it, is like, these were amazing people. And then I've made friends with them on social media, and so we'll keep in touch that way. And it's kind of nice to those connections that I made with the people from various episodes that I've continued. You know, thanks to social media, I can keep up with them, and I find out like, this couple, they just had a baby, and that's great, and you know, keeping up with shows and events in their lives, and it's
all
awesome.
good. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining us today for Kinetic
Heath.
Sculpture Racing, and thank you for being with us today and showing your support for Beyond Geek. Now's the time to call and support KVIE.